If you want to pick up some distance from tee to green, you're going to need a bigger backswing. And to make a bigger backswing, you're going to have to maximize your ability to turn. In today's lesson, I'm going to share with you some simple setup adjustments that make turning a heck of a lot easier. I also got some drills that you can practice in the comfort of your own home to increase that shoulder turn, increasing the range of motion, improving your clubhead speed to immediately start hitting longer golf shots. If hitting the golf ball farther is important to you, you don't want to miss this lesson. Let's dig in. A common question I get day in and day out at the Academy is, how do I create more turn in my backswing? Of course, golfers are looking to create more turn because more turn increases the range of motion of your backswing. Greater range of motion gives you a little bit more speed, and more speed makes the golf ball go farther. So I totally agree. A little bit more turn would be a good thing. But when golfers struggle with this idea, I feel like it's because they're not seeing turn from the proper perspective. They're seeing turn as a top-down proposition, meaning they're trying to wind their shoulders up over top of their lower body. And I like to see turning as more of a ground-up proposition. How can I set my feet? How can I set my body in the setup to encourage some turning? And then how can I use my legs to move my hips and use my hips to actually give my shoulders their greatest range of motion possible? So when people come in and struggle with this, the first thing that I see is that their feet are generally too square or perpendicular to the target line. And if your feet are perpendicular, that move alone is going to stifle your ability to rotate your hips. So the first tip is just going from square to flare. So get both of those toes turned out about the same amount in opposing directions. That's your first tip. We're just trying to wake up that hip rotation. The second tip is relative to where your lower center, your belt buckle or your pelvis is relative to your feet. And if we're having a conversation, you would imagine that that lower center would be right in the middle of your foot position. Well, golfers who really struggle with turning, they get that lower center more to the trail side foot, more to the non-target side of center. And the moment you do that, those hips are locked up. You're not going to be able to turn those hips at all. So tip number 2 is, from this flared position, is getting this belt buckle a little bit on the target side of center. So shifting that belt buckle a little bit forward, that shifts all of your hips forward. And from there, you're going to notice that turning becomes quite easy. The third setup adjustment is going to be the alignment of your feet relative to the target line. So if you're not that mobile to begin with, if you're advancing in age and mobility is moving you in the wrong direction, if you take that trail foot and you drop it back a little bit, creating a closed stance, that's a great way to create a little head start for your hips to move in a circular fashion. So square to flare, shift those hips forward, start off with a closed stance. That's a great way to begin getting more backswing rotation. From here, what you have to be able to do is understand that your legs have a role in driving your hips in a circle. And your legs, from a setup position, well, they're starting with the same amount of bend. Left knee and right knee bent the same amount. And if I'm creating an efficient turning action, my legs are actually going to start changing flex. So my trail leg's going to get a little bit longer as my lead leg gets a little bit shorter. If you're looking at this from the down the target line perspective, in a mirror, you should see a little bit of daylight between your legs. And if you can see that daylight, that means that your legs have changed flex. This trail hip has gone more back and behind you. Now your hips are turning pretty close to 45 degrees. And if you can get your hips to 45, I'm confident you can get your shoulders to 90, which would be a really nice zone or range to be into. So we got a different stance position. We got the legs changing flex a little bit. Now let's talk about some simple drills you can do to kind of open up the movement of the shoulders in the backswing around that nice hip action that we're creating. So what I want you to do is just take your setup, put your lead arm in front of you like you're getting ready to hit a shot, but this lead arm in this exercise is going to be in sort of an anchored position. Take the trail arm, and just like ripping a cord on a lawnmower, I want you to try and drive this trail shoulder and trail hip back and behind you as much as possible, as if you're trying to get these joints moving towards a target. So a lot of golfers are trying to get their body behind the ball to hit the ball farther. And when they do that, they're moving their head in a linear fashion along the target line, and their shoulders and hips aren't turning a whole lot. So let's keep our head steady. Let's make a circle with those joints around that stable head, and let's feel like we're really getting these joints more towards the target versus away from the target. And if you do this correctly, looking in a mirror, the goal is to get this trail shoulder as much as you can almost on the target side of your head. It's not easy to do. I don't know how close I am here in the video camera, but I'm sure giving it a go. All right, so from here what we're going to do is modify this a little bit. Lead arm is still anchored, Trail arm is going to be open palm now, and we're going to create what we call a trail arm sweep. So this is like taking your arm and swinging it like the arm of a windmill around your neck, around your spine. Again, trying to get these two trail side joints on the target side of your head as much as possible. Of course, the hip's not going to be on the target side, but you're trying to get that trail shoulder moving to the target, trail hip working back and behind you. And again, you should try and get as close to 90 degrees as possible. The next modification with this exercise is to put that trail arm in a position that's going to be more like hitting a golf ball. So go ahead into a little bicep curl position in the gym, a little bend in the elbow joint, and give a little bend in the back of that trail wrist. From here, lead arm anchored, still swinging that arm like the arm on a windmill. But now as we make this move, legs changing flex, getting those trail side joints more towards the target, that elbow and wrist position are much more similar to how you'd have that trail arm be positioned when hitting a golf shot. And if you work on those exercises day in and day out from an appropriate stance position, feet flared, belt buckle forward, stance closed, you're going to start really feeling a much greater range of motion, of course leading to a bigger backswing and longer golf shots. All right, so let's go ahead and put this into play. So square to flare, hips forward, stance closed. Legs are changing flex. Trail leg lengthening as the lead leg is shortening. Now my goal is to get my whole right side, right shoulder, right hip, moving more towards the target versus away from the target. And that's a nice strike right there. So range of motion is pretty important to hit longer golf shots. A lot of people come in and they think that they need to be in a fitness program first and foremost. In a fitness program, we'll certainly make you more flexible, more mobile. But I found that anyone who comes out to our lesson tee, if I give them the right stance, the right hip position, maybe close their stance a little bit, give them some of these drills, nearly everybody can get to about 90 degrees of shoulders and about 45 degrees of hips. And that's a great spot to be in, regardless of age. I think you can do that without a fitness program. So if you enjoyed our time together, do me a favor, subscribe to the channel, give us a like, leave those comments below. Until next time, best of luck with your game.